Hey everyone, welcome to this Launchpad Insight session. This is the final one of the series. My name is Scott. I'll tell you a bit more about me in a little while. But yeah, this is the last in the series of Launchpad Insight sessions, and this one is focusing on live, so getting out there in the different aspects of live, playing live, getting out, playing shows, getting shows, and understanding some of the terminology around that as well. So there has been a few other sessions prior to this one, which are all listed there. So there was getting release ready, managing your royalties, promotion, funding, and then this one is the live one as well. So those are all available to view. They're on Launchpad's YouTube channel. So I'm sure there'll be a link that's been sent out there. So yeah, please do check those out. If any of those are particularly of interest, but there's loads of good stuff. Even if you think you're on top of the promotion side of stuff, or like you've got some funding and you think, yeah, it's good, I've already got a pot of money, there are other things out there. Even getting release ready, there's loads of good insight on there. So those have either been done by Whiskers, who I'm sure hopefully you'll all know already, or I've been joining them with him for some of them, or I've been doing them as well. So yeah, good split between the two of us. In this session, there'll be a Q&A at the end. We'll save it until we finish recording, so anybody can ask whatever they want without the pressure of it being recorded and yeah, held in time forever for everybody else to look at. So yeah, if we can save any questions to the end, that's great. But if anything does come up and you're not sure on anything as we're going along, please do shout up. So first off, and this is a task for just for taking away, and if you're watching this back, this isn't something that has to be done live on air. These are a couple of things to start thinking about when it comes to live and where you are at. So first off, what level of live performance are you at? And that's an honest sort of question with yourself and an answer with yourself. Are you just starting out? Is it just doing open mics? Is it getting onto the first sort of the gig circuit? Maybe you're doing solo shows and you want to put a band around you, or you are a band and you are just starting out and doing a first set of tours. You're just playing regionally. You'd like to get out further into different areas in the country, or you've done a couple of tours and you're looking to get on festival circuit and become sort of more legitimate in that side. Whatever your level is, all are completely valid. So yeah, working out where you are at and where you think you'd like to go, which leads you on to the ambitions. What are your ambitions in the live sphere? Yeah, what do you want to do? Where do you want to play? What do you want to get to? And that can be short-term, smaller goals, but also then thinking about much bigger, longer-term goals as well. And we'll start breaking down bits of that, of how you can sort of achieve different levels of that, from small, regional, out to UK touring, up to playing festivals, and sort of the team that you'll need to identify that will help you in order to do that. So before we get onto that, I'll tell you a bit more about me, because I haven't done that yet. So yeah, my name is Scott Lewis. So I do workshops. I'm the lead mentor for Launchpad. So yeah, I do one-to-one sessions for Launchpad and sort of support Whiskers in the team with certain things that they're doing. I also run a record label called Clue Records. So Clue started 10 years ago. We turned 10 this year, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, independent DIY record label. We work with artists from across the country, a lot in Yorkshire, some down in London, some further up north. And yeah, we've had some great achievements with that. So one of our artists last month, or the month before, even played Glastonbury. Some of them have been out on European tours, international tours. Reviewed in every place that you'd really want them to be, sold records, lots of sold out records. Yeah, we've achieved a lot on, like, it still blows my mind that we're achieving what we are. And I take a lot from these sessions and speaking to people who come onto these and mentor and stuff, because it helps me learn a lot of stuff as well. So you can never ever be at the top of things. You're always learning stuff. The industry changes a lot. I also work for an organization called Come Play With Me, which is an artist development organization. looking to platform marginalized groups. So that can be, there's a record label part to that, there is a magazine, there are events, there are workshops. I do the workshops there. And yeah, there are regular call outs. So similar to what Launchpad do with open submissions, where they are looking for new artists and new projects, Come Play With Me do very similar things. So that's definitely worth checking out and having a look at Come Play With Me. I also lecture at Leeds Conservatoire, so I do a couple of modules there, and I manage an artist, and I do like a few other bits as well. So all within the music industry, and yeah, I've got like a fair bit of experience behind me on supporting artists in many different ways. And live is just, yeah, it's one of those ways that I do support our artists that I look after and work with. So live shows. We're going to talk through actually booking shows, just the initial basic approach to that. Sometimes that can be the first task that's sometimes most daunting. It's like, how do I get a show? Where do I start at? So yeah, we'll go through some basic principles of that. We'll start having a look at fees as well, and navigating fees and sort of knowing your worth and what you should be, not necessarily what you should be getting, because obviously you've got to decide in terms of a solo artist can be very different to a 10-piece band, and different levels of what you're playing at. But yeah, we'll talk about sort of how you can justify where you think you are. And then we're going to get into touring as well and start having a look at, yeah, just getting out on the road and playing further afield, playing outside of wherever you are based in. So the bits we'll come across as we get into this. So rider, what you get when you play a show, support slots. So yeah, playing slots, how to sort of navigate those, how to get those, how to work them, and when you do get them. We'll have a look at festivals. So obviously everybody or a lot of people have dreams to be playing on the festival circuit and getting that. So sort of break down the stepping stones into getting into that, and who the key people would be in that. Audience growth. So how to make the most out of the live shows that you are playing. Yeah, how to engage with that audience and how to take them with you. So if you play in a town, play somewhere out of town, and there's somewhere a new audience member there that's found you for the first time, they go away knowing exactly who you are, and they'll be back the next time. So that's what we're looking to do with that. Also, how to promote your shows. Like obviously that can seem pretty straightforward, but there are a lot of different ways of doing that. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. When to say no. So if you're offered something and you're not sure about it, but you are quite like, you feel like you should just take things because you should, there are definite times to be saying no. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. Some of the key terms around shows, around yeah, just booking and sort of when a promoter comes to you, we'll have a look at some of those, because a lot of the time when you're new to going out and doing this, Google can be your best friend, because you're like, I don't know what that means in the email. Don't want to go back and say I don't know what it means, because I might look a bit daft. So I'll go and stick it in the search engine. I'm going to try and tackle a couple of those so you feel a bit more comfortable in that. And then also transport and routing options. So when it gets to booking the shows and you've got your tour in place, then actually logistically, how do you look at navigating that as well? So the first part we're going to look at is booking shows. So starting at the two very different areas here, local versus national. So local is looking out on your doorstep. It helps to be part of the scene. If you're intending to go out and play live, it helps to go and be part of what's going on in your city or town, understanding what the live scene is like, understanding the venues, and from that you will understand which venues will be appropriate for you, what sort of people go to these places, what sort of shows are put on there. Is that right for you? Does it fit for what you're doing? If it does, great. You've identified the venue, and maybe then you can start try and find some sort of connection in there. If you're a good networker and able to chat to people, get in there and find out who the person who runs the venue. Find out if there's a promoter there. If somebody's working the door, ask them who they work for, and just get try and build your network in that way. If you're not so great at that immediate sort of thing and pushing yourself out there, then really try to do that and find a way to, you've got a real easy purpose for initiating that conversation. So try to do that. It can be really beneficial, definitely on working towards building up a relationship, particularly on your doorstep. Nationally is obviously a little bit different. You can't really just travel around to every city that you would like to play on a tour. So you've got to understand where the appropriate places are that you should be playing. So part of that comes with looking at similar artists to you. So if you can sort of pigeonhole other artists that you think you should be playing shows with, or have been mentioned as like, if they're an inspiration to you, or somebody would compare them to you or you to them, go and have a look at the places that they are playing. So this comes into identifying suitable promoters and venues. So yeah, have a look at where they are playing and then work out from there, right, that's the venue. Is there an in-house promoter there? Or who was the promoter that put that show on with that artist? And have a good list of different artists, again, all in that same genre, same style that you feel you are in. Have a good list of those so that you can start identifying who these promoters are, where these venues are, and then you can start having a look and getting emails and starting saying, oh, your approach then becomes, well, we'll talk about the approach in a moment. Actually, won't get too ahead of that there. So yeah, locally, go out and investigate the scene, try and make friends, try and make understand who the promoters are. Nationally, it's a little bit more online, sleuthing and investigation there. Both, if you're doing a UK tour, ideally you have a home show in there, so you'd be doing both of that. When it comes to planning these shows, it is like planning your either that day or the whole tour. It's working out your availability, and it's working at a good well in advance. So if I'm looking to book a tour for an artist, I'm looking for a minimum of 3 months from now to when the shows will actually be, and that's as a minimum. Ideally I'd be doing it a lot earlier. Post pandemic, and obviously there's a lot more artists out there touring and playing shows, so availability of venues is tighter and tighter. So the longer you can give yourself to get prepped and get those plans in there, will really benefit you. So how that works is, if I know I'm working on a tour in November with the artist, or I am the artist, I'd be like, right, okay, I'm available on this 2-week period. I've got like the 6 days I can definitely do shows there. Check in with the rest of the band if you're part of a band, and get a solid block of when you are available and when you would like to tour. Ideally, it would be around the release, but just anyway, work out who you're going to do it, when you can do it alongside your people who will be part of the project and be going out and playing live with you. Once you've got that, you can start reaching out, and you can say to the promoters, look, I'm looking for a date in this city on this date, and you can be quite specific with that. So that comes into routing. When you are playing a tour, say it's 6 dates across the UK, you would ideally, what would be great is finishing on your headline show in your city or town would be the last one you come to. So you've got a bit of a homecoming. It's all built up to this thing, and people are getting more excited about it. Either way, you could start and you maybe you go to Manchester first, close to Yorkshire, you go over to there. You wouldn't then go to Glasgow. You could go up to Glasgow, but you wouldn't go to Glasgow, then down to Brighton, then up to Birmingham, then back down to London, then across to Hull, then across to Wales. Do you know what I mean? You want to make it make sense. There's lots of reasons for that. Your general health and well-being and fatigue are massive on tour. People do get tired, and it can be quite draining, and particularly in a band, it can be the little strains and little niggles will come out. So the easier you can make it to get from one place to another, great. Fuel obviously also comes into that. It will be cheaper to travel from Leeds to Manchester to Liverpool to Birmingham to London to Brighton, then come up maybe to Nottingham on the way back up to Leeds, or doing something in York or something around there. So if that makes sense and the route is shorter, financially it's better. For you as a band and an artist, it's much better. So that's definitely worth looking at. And then when you've got your set of dates, it's like, right, okay, we'd like to be playing in the Midlands on this date. Then we'll go down to the south on this date, stay on the south for the next one. Then we'll come up a little bit more towards Midlands, or maybe towards the east coast, and then come back into Yorkshire after that. So you can sort of work out on these dates where you are going to play, and it just helps you then understand which promoters and venues you're going to reach out to and say, look, we've got this venue, or we've got this date, do you have anything there? Once you've got all that together, you understand where you want to play and where you want to tour, and do these dates. You've worked out your availability. You've identified a rough routing that you want to go for. Then you can reach out to these promoters that you've identified. You've got like a bit of a list of them. On this, personalize the approach here. So, and it's always a thing, if you can take time to cater to and really tailor something to a person, it will always land much better than just a generic copy and paste. So you've identified a promoter in Manchester and seen that they've put on a particular artist that you really like and is similar to you. So it'll be like, hey, whoever, if I find out the name out if you can. Hope you're well. I saw that you put on a show for this artist 2 months ago. I absolutely love them. I played a show with them in this city a while ago, or I saw them on that tour in Leeds and they were amazing. Whatever that personalization bit is, get that in there. Maybe I've been compared to them, whatever that may be. And from there, then you can say, like, yeah, I really love them as an artist. I've been compared to them, and I'm reaching out because I'd love to play a show in Manchester, and figured that you would be a good place to start based on putting that artist on. So really, really tailoring that and showing them why you think they are the right person. That will land a lot better than just saying, look, you put gigs on, I want one, give us one. From there, you just add a nice simple link to some music. So your best, most impactful track, not your newest thing. It might be the most exciting to you. But if you've got a good video or you've got a track on SoundCloud, those are the best things to put in there. And then the next link would just be for your EPK. So if the promoter does like what you're doing, they can find out a bit more about you in the EPK. From there, you can maybe identify a few of the dates that you've sort of set out and say, look, this is the availability, this is what we're looking at do. It'd be great to work out something with you. Please let me know. And keep it nice and short and simple, and hopefully something will come from that. But start trying to build up relationships in a personalized way. When you're going out to these places, yeah, overreach is good. So go, instead of just going for Manchester, say it's on the 5th of November is when you want to get a show in the northwest area. So then you'd be looking at Manchester, maybe Salford, maybe Liverpool, other places around Birkenhead, places around there, and go out to a few of them. So you've got more chance. If one of them sticks, then great, you've got that date in. And it just allows you to have a little bit more chance of getting a few dates in there. Locations, yeah. So work out where, if you have, obviously, wherever you are based is a great place to start, because you should have some sort of, yeah, people that will come to the show, basically. If you've got others in the band, or you have a hometown that's different to where you are currently based, that could also be a great thing, because you can get maybe friends over, and you can get people shouting about it. So that can be a really good place to start looking at as well. So yes, try to go back to as many hometowns or things like that as you can. But also, where are the scenes that are making the music that you are? Where are things going on and becoming popular in the genre and scene that you are part of? So pencils. This is what part of the terminology I mentioned earlier. So when you will often hear that if you go on and approach a promoter, and they will say, oh yeah, I'll pencil that in, or like that's either it's confirmed straight away, or you can be first pencil or second pencil. So like that is just, yeah, it's a strange word, but that's what sort of strange term for this, I think. It will come from when they were actually using pencils to like write things in, and it could be rubbed out. But if you're confirmed, great, you've got that slot in that show. If you've got first pencil, that means that the person who's booked it, if they've not confirmed or they come away from that, then you're the next in line to get that show. Second pencil means there's somebody in front of you who's just behind the person that's already got it booked. So you can challenge if something's not completely set and done. If you're the first pencil, and you say, look, we really want the show, is that definitely going ahead? Because if not, then we will take it. So that's where pencils come in there. On support slots, so yeah, for like going and playing with people, maybe you want to start by, you've done a tour or you've done a couple of shows and you want to go out and play to somebody else's audience. Who do you approach when looking to get on a support slot for a particular artist? So obviously, first thing is identify that artist and work out who they are. So do you reach out to the artist directly? Do you reach out to the agent? Do you reach out to the management? Who do you go to try and get the support slot? For me, all three of them. I don't see a problem in doing that at all. Slightly different approaches. So if you can go to the artist in a much more personalized, glowing, I love what you do, I think it's amazing, this is my music that I make and you inspired me to make this, I'd love to play a show with you, and maybe calling out a specific date that they've got in a particular city. The booking agent. So a booking agent is somebody that works on behalf of an artist to book shows, book tours, get them on festivals, and basically be in their camp. They're part of that artist's team to get them playing out live as much as possible. So that's what a booking agent is. Yeah, those you would approach and say, look, I saw that the artist is playing there, would love to be considered for it. Here's some music, here's my EPK. If you can let me know, that would be great. An agent will often come back and say, oh, I'll pass it on to the artist, or I'll pass it on to the management and let them know. And then management is a similar approach to an agent. Reach out to them and let them know similar things to as you would to the agent. You're really inspired by that artist. You'd love to be considered for that slot. Here's some of my music. Really, it's the agent. It can be the local promoters making the decision. So it depends on what the sort of the setup is between these people on what the who makes the decision. Which is why it's good to reach out to all three. Another reason for reaching out to all three is the artist might really connect with it and push hard to get you as part of it, or you might make some sort of relationship there. The booking agent may be really into what you're doing and keep an eye on you in future. Same with the management. So it's just getting that awareness on a different level for your wider team and what you're doing longer term. You spilled me water all over me there. That would have been good. Right. So now we're looking at organization. In essence, be organized. Like the more organized you can be, the easier it makes for everybody involved. So that is, yeah, quite generic, just saying be organized. How can you be organized when looking to book dates, book a tour, do anything like that? So first off, if you are an artist with more than just you that is involved in playing these shows, so you've got a band or you are part of a band, have a shared diary, have a shared calendar, set it up on the band email and get everybody access to it and make sure it's up to date and it's right and you can see availability in there. If people have got holidays, they're away for something, they've got part of another project and they've got a showing, that all comes into that calendar. So you can see immediately if you've been offered a show, then you can say no to it immediately if you know it's a no-go. If there's a space there, it's like, all right, cool, okay, maybe we can do that show. And then you can check in with everybody and say, look, it says free in the calendar. Is everybody good for this? Yep, cool, good, I'll confirm. So yeah, be organized in that way. Understand where everybody is and what they're doing. Prepare your docs, so your documents. Prepare everything that you need to be going out and doing it. So on the reach out, that is getting the your SoundCloud link, understanding what that is, having an EPK together that you can share with whoever it is that you're reaching out to, even just drafting that email and sort of, even if it is a bit of a copy and paste in parts of it, you're drafting that and you know that everything's in there and you understand what it is that you're going to reach out with and you have that ready to go so you can just go out and blast a few emails out when you need to. Advance for a show, when you are booked and confirmed for a show, when it's coming up to closer to it, an advance will be shared with you, which basically just gives you information of the show, maybe how many tickets have been sold, any sort of information that you need to know in terms of the gear, equipment that might be shared. You might need a backline, you might need a drum kit share, parking, all things like that. If there's any sort of merch selling fees, or if there's a merch selling stall or stand that you can set up on, all of this type of stuff will come into the advance. So yeah, make sure that you've got, if they want when you've got a show booked in, that venue, that place, the sound engineer will want a tech spec. So they'll want to understand what they are working with. So have a tech spec, get a tech spec ready, make it as specific and detailed as possible without being 20 pages. Do you know what I mean? Keep it really to the point of everything you want, including if you're a vocalist that works in a particular way, maybe you've got your own mic, say that you've got your own mic and you'll bring that and it will be plugged in. If you have particular effects on your voice or on the backing vocalist's voice, state that in there as well. It's like, we're looking for this sort of sound, we usually put this on it, this is what we go for. All of that stuff will really, really help any engineer, because obviously they don't know you and that you're coming into a brand new place. So the easier you make it for them to understand what you're doing, the better it will be. And also in terms of a rider, you can sort of have sort of rider requests or like an advance on that in terms of your tech spec. So musically, but also do you have certain dietary requirements? Are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Do you not drink? Things like that can go on there as well. So that if you have those ready to share, as soon as it's asked for, you can just go out and put them you have them in a folder. You can share that nice and easy. And then promotion. So when promoting a show, the promoters, if they're a good promoter, they will want your document, your assets. So they will want links to music. They will want maybe little video clips they can put on their socials. They will definitely want images that they can make a poster out of. If there is a tour poster, have a template version of that with no text on it that they can go away and use and put their text onto it. So again, have all of these things ready. If you have all of this ready to go, then if an aesthetic and style is important to you, then you're already providing everything there, and it's really keeping in with your the aesthetic that you've got. So again, if they want that, make sure you've got it in advance and it's all ready to go. If you're organized, you're easy to book. So that is very, very true. You can be the best musician, artist in the world, but if you're a bit of a pain, it's like pulling teeth to get any information out of you or get the things, and it all sort of comes together last minute on the night, but it's really, really stressful. That will be remembered for next time. If you're half decent as an artist or as a band, but you are super organized and on it, and you promote things well, and every time they ask for something, they get it really quickly, that artist will be invited back next time. So it's not the best way. It's not ideal. Art should really be at the top of our thought, but unfortunately it's not. So yeah, understand that and work to that. So if you are organized, you'll be easier to book. Moving on then to fees and money. So yeah, value yourself is the first thing to do. So that's not to say you need to be getting 100 quid, 200 quid, 500 quid for every show that you are playing. It's got to be relevant to the show that is being played. You can't have a set fee or something like that on. If you're playing a small acoustic place that has 30 people capacity, you're not going to be getting a huge fee, because the promoter and the venue won't make a lot of money on ticket sales. You've got to think of the economy of it. How much money they're making, how much money will be then coming back to you. But what I mean by this is value yourself in terms of like understand what you think your value is, and if you want to do something and play for free, that's up to you. If you understand that the show has a different benefit to you, but if you think somebody offers you 30 quid and you think you're worth 50, go back and see what you can do there. There are a couple of different ways of being paid as well. So straight up fee is pretty straightforward. So you will be offered 50 quid, you will be offered 100 quid for a show, you get that amount of money and that's it. So yeah, that's how that works. Very, very simple and straightforward. You may come to a point where you hear about a guarantee versus 80%. So this is where you are guaranteed a fee. So say you're guaranteed £100, but if tickets sell enough to bring in a profit early ahead of that, then that's where the versus 80% comes in. So that's where you will get more money on top of the £100 fee, or that guaranteed fee that you've got. So yeah, once it starts working into that, then you will get your guarantee, but also you will get extra money on top of that. So that's where versus 80% can come into that as well. Ticket splits are slightly different from those things. So instead of getting a fee, you are offered a ticket split. So say it's a £5 ticket, you are offered, say for every ticket you sell, you can take £2.50 back of the £5 that is made on that. So yeah, that's something where it's obviously trickier, and if you know you can sell 100 tickets and you're going to get £2.50 off each of them, then you're getting 250 quid back. So is that worth doing? Up to you to decide on that and how you do that. And then obviously there's pay to play. So this is pretty much a free one, and like ticket splits can come into that. It's a bit of a you're not being paid, you're being sold sort of exposure, and it'd be a good fit for you. Yeah, pay to play is, in my opinion, a no-go and shouldn't be something that's done. you should be able to value yourself more than that. But it's up to you on what you feel is appropriate for the show that you're being offered and you would like to do, whether you would like to or not. Then moving on to getting the money. So don't, like, I've had bands I've been working with that just forgot to get the fee at the end of the night. That's one thing they've had to do and they just haven't. So remember, if maybe you sort this in advance so you know what's going on. Is it going to be payment on the night, or are you going to invoice afterwards to be paid straight into a bank account? So yeah, they're both are valid options. Maybe if you're touring and you don't want to be carrying a load of cash around with you, and then that's something that you could arrange and do the invoicing afterwards. And then a little idea or thought on maybe how to argue around boosting your fee. So a rider is one thing. So if you are offered a rider, most of the time you'll be offered, like, I don't know, a few beers, some water, and different things like that. If you don't drink or you're not fussed on drinking, could you say, look, we don't really want any beer on the rider. Could we stick another 10 quid, 20 quid on the fee instead? So that can work for both parties. You're getting a little bit more money. It's pretty much the same for the promoter because they're saving the money they're having to spend on a rider. So yeah, that can be a nice sort of bargaining tool to get yourself a few extra quid if you're not interested in drinking too much. So looking at advancing shows now. So we've talked a little bit about this. Here is where you've got the show booked in and you're ready to start sending stuff over. So we spoke about, I mentioned a tech spec, just a couple of moments ago. So a tech spec is just like a technical specification list. So what this is a plot. It can be just like saying how many members of the band they are, what their role is. So guitar, bass, drums, vocals, whatever that may be. And yeah, it can be as simple as that. You can add in what instruments they play, what amps they use, any particular settings or anything like that can be added into it. Again, can be in a list. It can be a stage plot. So what I mean by that is like a sort of bird's eye view looking down on a stage. How does it look? The singer is at the front here, the guitarist is to the right here, the bassist is to the left, drummer at the back, keys over here. That's how they sit. You can put your sort of preferred monitor positions on that as well. So if you put into a search engine tech spec, artist tech spec, you will find, you should be able to find a few templates on there that you can start implementing to how you want them to be and moving that around. But yeah, a good detailed tech spec will do you wonders when you arrive at a venue. If you've got keep all of these sort of documents and things in a folder that's easily accessible. So if they don't have it when you arrive, you can just share the link, send it straight over, and they can read it up and be like, all right, cool, great, I get this, let's get set up then. Your rider requirements, as mentioned a moment ago, again, get those in there as well. So that can be, we want a case of beers, bottle of red wine, 3 bottles of champagne, 2 fluffy dogs, and I want some air conditioning in my room. Do you know what I mean? You can put all those things in there. What you're actually going to get, I don't know. I doubt you'll be getting the dogs at least. But if you've got specific things you want on there, do them. Dietary requirements, vegan, any things like that, add them in there and make sure that they're detailed on there. You're not guaranteed to always get them. The higher up you go and the better shows you play, you're more likely to be catered to in that way. But yeah, try, why not? Some promoters are great and really want to look after the artists, so go for it there. There's really good, there's a band called Benefits who did it too. I think there's a piece on NME, so I'm sure you'd be able to find it if you search like NME Benefits tour. And what they did, he has a daughter, and on each sort of rider requirement they put on there is like, we don't drink, but we'd like these snacks, these things, and also can you get me a present for my daughter so I can take it back to her, so it feels like she's part of the tour as well. So you can ask for like I don't know, a local postcard or a local delicacy or something, I don't know, a magnet. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you can add a little bit of character to that as well if you want to. Sometimes you get snacks and you get like a couple of bags of crisps, some hummus or whatever, some fruit. The other side of that is you may be offered a buyout. So what a buyout is, it's usually between £5 and £10 per member of the touring crew. basically a token that you can go and exchange for food. So it can either be a token to use in the premises on the venue if they've got a food vendor, or it's like, it's £5 per person, go out and use it, and you can get go and use it for whatever food you want. So yeah, that can be something as well. So that's what they mean by buyout, if you ever hear that term. Some promoters and venues will look to put a contract in place. So it's just like a general contract of like terms of agreement of what you will do on your side and what you will do on, they will do on their side. It's pretty rare on booking shows. There's not very often you will see it. Definitely on the larger scale shows, it can happen, and also some festivals as well. They will ask you to sign a contract or get some sort of agreement. Sometimes they'll ask you if you've got one. Just don't be afraid to say, no, I haven't, can you provide it? Because they're the ones asking for it to be done. So ideally, they're the person that would do that and provide it there for you to have a look over. Don't just, and again, don't sign it without reading it. That goes without saying with all contracts. But yeah, make sure you read it and you understand it as well. And then in terms of transport, if you are a band and there are a few of you, say there's 4 or 5 of you, it can be a tight squeeze with a bunch of amps and guitars in there as well. So start thinking about, instead of having to hire a van or take 2 cars, can you stick a roof rack on top of like a vehicle that you've got? So you'd have like a roof box on there. You can keep maybe pedals, certain smaller items in there, and it just really adds that bit of extra room. We had a band that went out and did that regularly and managed to squeeze into one like estate car, and it worked great, much cheaper than hiring a van every time, and could still manage to get all the gear in despite having a fair bit of kit as well, and sometimes taking a full drum kit with them. Or look to upgrade to a bigger car. Like if you are going on a tour and you're paying however much you're paying, a fair amount to be hiring a van regularly, is it worth instead saying, right, we're going to do 10 dates in November. It's going to cost us 150 quid for van hire and the driver with us as well, or even just van hire. Is it worth over the 10 days? That's £1.5 grand. Should we just put in and chip in and buy a bigger car and get sorted in that way? So you're going to have to pay that money out at some point. If you buy a bigger car now and sort of make yourself self-sustainable, then that can be really, really beneficial to you longer term than just this next tour that you've booked. So yeah, that can be worth thinking about as well. So you've got the shows in, you've advanced it, you know what you're doing, your routing's all done, you've started identifying all of that sort of stuff. It comes to the point of shouting about it, letting people know, trying to shift some tickets, trying to make sure there's people there when you turn up. They're going to be there looking back at you, hopefully singing every word of the tracks that you've released. So poster formats are really key here. So I've mentioned a little earlier on about having like a template tour poster. So yeah, if you've got a theme or aesthetic or like a name for the tour, then have a template for that. So that can have all of the dates added to it. Maybe you can do that and put it together, or you can give it to a promoter and say, here you go, this is the template, here's our image on it, go and put whatever you want on there. Have them Instagram story format and size, have a square version, have a landscape version, a portrait version. Make sure that they are adaptable and work for each different social media. Also, if you can, make a little video, or it can be just like a video you've already got, or a little live video, and put the dates over that. Have date-specific videos for each individual date you're doing, and then one overall one for a tour. The more ammunition you give to, well, you have to promote is great, but also that you give to a promoter, the more they can push it and help tap into their community, the doorstep that they're on. A nice way of doing this also to engage with the artists that you're playing with is if you're going on a tour or you're just playing a one-off date. If you're playing a one-off date, then you've had a sounding support and you're happy about who they are and you like their music, shout about them on your socials, platform them, give them that, yeah, show them a bit of love. It will make for a much nicer night. They'll share, hopefully check out your music, maybe share it too. If you're going on a few dates on a tour, make a playlist of your music mixed up with the artists that you are being supported by on these different shows, and then email it around to the promoters, email it around to the artists, push it on social media and say, look, this is who we're doing the shows with, really excited, can't wait to play with this band in that venue, in that city. And yeah, they will hopefully then, again, share that, and it just pushes your name out and breeds familiarity with the community on their doorstep of where the venue is and where that show is that is happening. Another little tip is Bandcamp. Bandcamp, I think, is probably seen a bit more in the indie alternative in some sections of the dance world. I think it's really, over the pandemic, they did an amazing job of supporting artists with fee-free Fridays, easy for you to say. Yeah, so that is, it's a great place to have your digital downloads on there. You can get some income in from that. You can sell merch through that. So it's a really great platform. When somebody buys something from you or downloads something from you on there, they are added to your profile as a follower, as a fan of you. What you can do then, if you've got a show in London and Manchester and Liverpool, you can put within a certain range, like a postcode or a city, and send direct messages to those people that are close to London. So you've got a London show, you can directly get into them and send them a message there. Manchester, you can do the same there. So it's really, really useful to be able to do that bit of targeted messaging and really tap into people and send them a personalized message, or like, even if it's a group of people, but like there's a bit of personalization to it. MailChimp, well, yeah, more likely mailing lists. So MailChimp is what I use to run my mailing lists, but you might have a different approach to it. MailChimp can be really useful because that you can gather information on where people, your audience, is based. So that can be based on postcode, city, town, region, whatever it might be. Again, you can tap into that and you can filter out different regions. So if you're playing in London, you can hit within a certain area who is on your mailing list is from that region. So putting really, really good for targeted messaging and making sure people understand that you've got a show on. And then digital ads as well. So some promoters will have a budget for promotion and doing that. What you could do is say, could we use some of that towards a digital advertising campaign? I've made the asset, it's here, and push it through. Ideally, you would push it through their channels. So the digital advert will be running through their profiles. The reason for that is that they are the ones with the engaged audience on that doorstep. And it will be going out to a completely new audience to you. So if it's a good video where the music is like sort of engaging and captures people quickly, that can be really beneficial to you because it will end up bringing people maybe to the show, but if not to the show, if they've heard a clip of the music and they like it, then they might go out and check you out on music. So it's a great way of hitting a new audience there. Okay, moving on to support slots then. Support slots are an amazing way of building an audience. It's a ready-made audience for you. If it's the right support slot and you're playing with the right sort of headliner that you should be playing with in a similar taste or style or genre or influence or audience, you can go in and sort of nick some of their audience members. And you're not nicking them because they'll still love the artist as well, but hopefully they'll be into you. But yeah, a few sort of like bits to think about when doing it is respect the headliner and yeah, have that sort of due care about paying them the respect and being complimentary and understanding that they've gone through the stuff that you're going through and now they've moved on to another level. So yeah, just having that level of respect for who they are. So maybe learn a little about them. Again, this comes into something where you are very keen on that artist, or you've discovered somebody who's new and you're really, really excited about playing with them. Learn a little bit about them. So you've got that thing of you can go and have a chat. Maybe you say, oh, that album, your album's amazing. Like, I absolutely love it. Or you work with that producer. Like, I'm thinking about it. How was the experience? Anything like that. Get a little bit of information on them. So it helps that initial conversation and creating a bond really, really go well. Make a good impression. So yeah, that's pretty basic, but try to, sometimes you will only get that one chance to play with them. If you make a really good impression and they're going on a tour, they're stepping up to the next level next time, then they will remember you if you make a good impression, and yeah, there's some sort of connection there. So make sure that you say hello. It sounds daft, but sometimes there's a weird block between a headliner or artists on bills, and like you, particularly bands, I think maybe sometimes there's a shyness with bands, but also solo artists. Push yourself out of that comfort zone and say hello. It will only bring good things, and if they turn out to be a bit of a not great or not the nicest, then they do, and that's not your fault. It's how they are. But at least you've done your part of the bargain, and you've tried to make some sort of bond or something there. Behave well. So this is something that instead of getting giddy and you've been given a case of beer and you get drunk and you play before them and you mess up the stage, you spill a load of beer on it, you maybe break a bit of equipment, you are late going on, you play over the slot that you've got, which impacts on the turnover time for them to go on stage. That's really not going to do well for the whole feeling of that night, for them thinking about you in future. So maybe save the beers until after. Maybe save them for another night, so you can actually make the most out of the evening that you're having with that artist. Because yeah, it's not your show, not your tour, so respect that. And I think the more that you show that and do that and build a relationship or make a good impression, leave that. Even if you're not over the top about speaking to the headliner, they want their space, and maybe they'll say hello, but then they need to go away and they're not too willing to engage. If you make a good impression and you respect them and you show them that attention, it will come. It should come back around to you. And when you reach back, maybe after the show, you send them a message, say, "Look, I love playing that show. Amazing. Thank you so much for having us. We'd love to do something again in future." Keep an eye on them. Any dates they're doing, any tours they're doing. Keep on chipping away and saying, "Look, I'd love to play with you again." If they remember that you were a really good, respectful, well-behaved part of that tour or show, then they're more likely to have you involved in the next one. There's nothing worse than going on a tour, however long it may be, with a band who are just a pain in the neck and are really difficult. So yeah, if you show that you are not that, you stand a better chance of getting further on. So we're going to speak about booking agents. So booking agents, there are a lot of booking agencies that are worth going and checking out. Again, look at relevant artists and see who's working with them as a booking agent. So there's places like ATC, UTA, Earth, Paradigm. I think it's still going on. It might change to something else. Yeah, look for UK booking agents, and you'll get an idea of them and start having a look at the roster they're looking after, and you should from there see which agent is working with which artist. They are key to getting you on festivals, key to getting you on support slots, key to your growth as an artist, to you reaching more people. They are usually pretty experienced in working with other artists as well. They will have a pool of artists they're working with, and will have really good relationships with promoters, venues, festival bookers, all of that sort of stuff. So they'll be a champion for you and will be part of your team. So identify the right ones, as I was saying, and work out these artists that are going on tours and doing really good stuff. And that's artists just starting out and just making their dent early on, but also ones that have done really established as well. Who are the booking agents that are working with these people? So go on the artists. Facebook used to be a really good resource for that in the about section. They've sort of changed how that looks now. But in bios of like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, things like that, there's usually an agent booking in there, email in there, websites, or the agencies themselves. Go and find their sites. And then the reach out is very similar to how you would book a show. I love this artist. I saw them at this show. It was amazing. What an amazing show. I can see that you put a tour together for them. Or I saw them at a festival. That you're really doing a really good job with them. It's great to see. I think that they're absolutely fantastic. I've been mentioned as an artist that is similar or I want to watch out for in this genre, and I'd love for you to check out my music. And again, SoundCloud or YouTube link and an EPK. Just keep it nice, easy, straightforward and simple. On this, ideally, you're already playing live. So one thing that will definitely help is having a London or Brighton show, ideally both, in because a lot of the booking agents are based in London and Brighton. So if you can go down there and get them in front of you, invite them in there, saying we can get you on the guest list, whatever you need to, that will really help. They're going to want to see you live before they agree to work with you 9 times out of 10, because they want to understand like the product that they are working with. They can put it on the stage and they know it's going to be really great and strong. Another way of demonstrating that is getting a live session filmed and sharing that with them. That can be a really good way of them understanding what they're getting into and what it looks like. So booking agent will usually take between 10 and 20% of your fee. So after like all the expenses and things like that. So if you get a 100 quid fee, they will take, between, say, taking 10%, they're taking a tenner out of that fee. But yeah, they work hard for that, and they bring a lot to your team, so that it can be really beneficial to everyone. Contracts with booking agents. I've never had a contract with a booking agent. We've worked with several with artists that I've worked with, and it's always been on a sort of not informal, but informal in terms of there's nothing signed. It's like they really like the band, really like the artist, and they will get involved and switch on when the time is right to switch on. You've got to let them know what the plans are. So usually there's no contract signed, so don't worry too much. If you do get interested in a booking agent and they want to go ahead with it and you're like, well, where's the contract? How do we do this? It's not the same as like a record deal or anything like that. But yeah, they're a really important part of the team or a booking agent. They can, those things at the top that says key to festival supports growth, they will get you on these things and can really shout about you and get you to places where you can play in front of a load of new people. So leading on to festivals, yeah, they are extremely competitive, especially at the moment, post-pandemic and post-lockdown. Lineups have been rolled over on year. And without that anyway, they are unbelievably competitive. So start looking at smaller ones. Look on your doorstep. So in Leeds, you'd be looking at maybe Live at Leeds. You'd be looking at things like Long Division in Wakefield, Tramlines in Sheffield. Look at the smaller, maybe inner city, or just like even what towns and cities, just like smaller things that are happening. Just start with those and be reaching out to find out who these people are. Work with your regional promoter. So if you've got a good regional promoter that you've been working with regularly, what do they put on? What are they involved with? So yeah, what are their smaller little weekend or all-day festivals? Keep up good relationships with them and build that relationship, and hopefully they'll be able to push you forward and kick you on with what you're doing. Booking agents, as mentioned on the last slide, are a massively important part of this. They will work to put you and get you on festivals and pitch to do that. So yeah, really important part of the team. A lot of festivals, like the Great Escape, happens in May. So May next year, by the end of this year, 90% of that lineup will probably already be booked. So it's about really getting in there early, which leads into this, building to your long-term month plan. So if you've got a 6-month, 12-month, 18-month plan, start working out, right, if the Great Escape is next May and I want to be playing it, I need to identify who are the people that are involved with that, start reaching out, at what point is it late this year, and doing that. So yeah, build it into what you're going to do in the midterm that will hopefully pay off in the longer term part. Say no then. So yeah, don't take every show that's offered you. Consider it. Work out, is it the right one for you? What's your instinct saying? What does it feel like on that? So things to consider are the fee. Is the fee right? Is there a fee at all? If you are playing your hometown and you are selling out 150 cap venue regularly, and somebody comes to you and say, "Oh, we've got this show. I'd love for you to do it. 50 quid." Then really you're making more, and it sounds like you're doing more than that already. So is that the correct fee? How frequently are you playing in the place that you've been offered the show? So there is a bit of an issue sometimes with overplaying it. If you are playing every 10 minutes, you're playing a live show in your hometown, then promoters will be, as a positive side of that, promoters will be like, if a support drops out or they need somebody at short notice, they may come to you because they know that you're pretty reliable and on it and playing a lot. The other side of it is, if there's a big artist that comes and they are the ideal artist that you should be supporting, but you've got 10 other shows in that city in a 2 or 3 month period, then what is your pull? What are you actually going to bring to that show if you're playing this show, this show, this show, this show? So there is a problem with overplaying sometimes. So just be considerate of how much you are doing. How does it fit in your longer term plans, the show that you are considering? If it works, if it's supporting an artist and maybe the fee's low, but it's supporting an artist that is ideal and perfect, and you really want to do it, and it may pay off longer term with that promoter and with that artist, then yes, maybe you decide to take that. Yeah, consider what you're doing now, how it looks further on down the line as well. Yeah, think about the stage of your career that you're at. So this sort of goes back to what I was saying about if you're selling out 150 capacity venues or 100, whatever it may be on that, and then you're being offered something a much lower fee than you would be expecting to. Are you beyond that part of your career? Are you working to do a 50 cap show first, build up towards selling that out, then going 7,500, whatever it is, your next step, and really pushing on with that so that then the local promoters and out of town can see that you are growing and your audience is growing as well. But yeah, is there a potential audience? What is the potential audience at the show? So if it's a low fee, but it's a really great show, it's a sold out show at Leeds Refectory or at Brudenell, but you're only being offered 20 quid. It's like, it's not really enough money, but the show is going to be sold out. It's going to be like tons of people there that we need to get in front of. So yeah, that can be worth considering as well, of whether you're going to do it or not. It's all very individual, this, and what your what your beliefs and morals and all that side of it comes into it as well. So you've got to decide on that either yourself or as a group. Either way, if you're going to say no to somebody, if their offer is pretty insulting and you're like, I'm worth miles more than that, and you know I am, and you're still not offering me more than that, and like, yeah, there's a little niggle there. Still maintain a really good relationship with them, because the next show that you do with them, they might offer you something decent or it might be good. So just, yeah, always being polite and considerate and saying, yeah, no, I would love to do that one. Or no, it would have been great to do that, but I'm afraid we can't make it work for that fee. So you can still be as honest as that, but just in a positive way. Or, no, we're not available for that show. Whatever you want to put it on that. Yeah, so maintain good relationships always. So looking at merch then, so you're going out, you're playing a show. What does the table display look like? Have you just got your t-shirts out of a bag, chucked them on it, ruffled them around a bit so you can sort of see the logo? There's no prices on there. Does it look like that? Is that your approach to it? You've got that space. That's a representation of you as an artist aesthetically, or it can be, it should be. So make it look appealing. Do you want, if it's just a table, do you take like a cloth that you can take out with you that is the color that is particularly significant to your aesthetic? Do you have nice signs? How does it look, and how does it feel to somebody approaching it and seeing it? Is the t-shirt ironed? Like, simple things like a creased t-shirt is going to look less valuable than a nice crisp ironed one. Tote bags, if you've got tote bags just hanging off the hook and it's just like limply dangling there, is that good? No. Can you put a piece of cardboard in there that fits it out to the full thing, as if it's a record in there? So make it look really good. Yeah, don't undervalue what you're selling either. T-shirts are £5. You'll shift the load, but can you do more than that in terms of your value? If it's a good looking t-shirt, it's a nice piece of merch. £10, £15. Like, look at what other people are selling their merch at. Another thing to consider is, do you charge more for the different regions? In Leeds, selling a t-shirt at £10. In London, because they've all got loads of money there, is it £15? There's literally a different with different wages and different sort of price gaps between London and the rest of the UK. So that's not, it might sound outrageous, like charging them more, but actually that happens with everything else. So is that something you consider? Totally up to you. A good price list will do wonders for you. Nice and easy and clear and clean. On the back, one on the table, individual prices on the items, great. People know exactly what it is that they're getting. On that as well, You can have links to your Spotify, so a Spotify scanner code, a QR code that takes the people to wherever you want them to go. You can personalize it. Maybe it can be handmade and hand drawn. It's really that's your aesthetic and that's what you're going for. It can be really nicely printed and done in that way. An artist that I look after on Clue released their album the 1st of July, and they had a single on the album called Supermarket. So we had a big sign above the merch desk that said Pit Pony's Supermarket on the album launch. So it's Pit Pony Supermarket, and then we had like yellow star-shaped prices as if it was in a supermarket, and really went in for that aesthetic. So really built that, and people really reacted nicely to that as well. Get a card reader. You can get them pretty cheap. People will, if you make it easy as possible to pay, then people don't. If you're only accepting cash and people are like, oh, I've only got the card, you've lost that sale immediately. So it should pay its worth back very quickly, a card reader, if you've got some good merch. PayPal QR code you can also get. So if people want to do pay by PayPal, either you've written down the email that they can send the amount to, or you can go onto PayPal on the app and create on there a QR code that you can print out and put on there. It's like, right, just scan that, send the money to it, all done, no problem. So again, you're making it really easy for anybody to pay however they want to. And then good old-fashioned cash. Have a floor, have some change ready, have a cash tin so that you can, you can give people change if they want it. That's your lot. Hopefully there's some nice useful bits in there. If you've any questions, get in touch with the Launchpad team, and we can try to answer them. There are drop-in sessions and sessions that you can book. So yeah, please feel free to get in with one of those. But yeah, hopefully it was useful. Thanks for watching. Yeah, cheers. Goodbye.